So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how I refinished the top of this cabinet, which I had previously refinished in a gel stain, and I wasn't totally happy with the way it looked, and it had acquired some major damage. So the first thing that I'm going to do is strip off that finish with my heat gun, metal scraper, and sponge pad. I'm turning on my heat gun at the highest setting, and I can do this in my house because I applied that original gel stain, and so I know that there's no lead in it. I do wear a mask to protect from any chemicals. And I'm just going along, heating up that stain and scraping it off. Here's a little closer look where you can see how that heat is just melting away that old gel stain, and then I can easily scrape it with my scraper. I'm holding my metal scraper nice and flat on that straight edge. I don't want to tip it to either side or I might get a gouge in the wood. And I'm going to continue this method for the entire piece. Quick shot of my cute dog watching me work. For this curved part of the trim, I'm going to be doing pretty much the same thing. I just use this scratch pad instead of the metal scraper. So again, I just heat up that old gel stain until it bubbles, and then I take the scratch pad and I scratch it away. You definitely want to remember your gloves on this so that you don't get burned. And I'm just going to go ahead and do that all around the entire piece. I'm going to quickly clean up the mess because this stuff will get everywhere if you don't clean it up quick. So here's what it looks like after it's been stripped. Obviously, this is not ready for stain. So the next step is going to be to sand. So I brought my piece outside so that I wouldn't get dust all over the house. I'm wearing my gloves and my respirator, and I'm just using a 120 grit sandpaper on my orbital sander. I'm going to go over the entire top of the piece with this, applying very light pressure until that old stain is removed. If you don't have an orbital sander, you can definitely use just a regular piece of sandpaper. It's just going to take a little more muscle and a little more time than an orbital sander would. So I highly recommend getting one if you're going to be refinishing more than one piece. So for the edge, I have an extra pad that I put on the sander so that I can do a curved edge without damaging it. So I'm going to use that all around the trim on this piece. Then I'm going to switch to this little set which has a special little attachment that you can easily get in the crevices where you need to sand. And this little teardrop shaped piece is it's an absolute must-have for sanding in crevices. So I'm going to finish my sanding using these two tools. And now this is what I have. You can see that beautiful wood grain. It's all smooth and ready to be stained. So now I'm going to fill in that little spot that was damaged, and I'm going to use this quick wood filler. All you do is you chop off a little piece, mix it and knead it really well with your hands for probably about 2 minutes until you can see that the two parts are mixed and it's pretty much one color. Then you're just going to take it and press it into your damaged part, which I'm doing right here. You can see you want to make sure you wear gloves because this is an epoxy and you don't want to get that on your hands. It has chemicals. Once it's completely dry, and you'll know when it's totally dry because it won't crumble when you try to sand it, you can just go ahead and sand that until it's completely smooth and uniform. So now we're ready for the next step. I'm going to be using a paint wash instead of a stain on this piece. And this is a milk paint, so it comes in a powder. So you're going to open it up, take out this bag of the powder. There should be a marble inside the can, and you want to leave that in there. You're going to put 1 scoop of the powder, and then I'm going to add about 3 or 4 scoops of water because I'm doing a paint wash, so I want this to be thinner than normal. Now you want to shake that up for a good 2 minutes, and then it will be ready to paint on. So I'm using my zebra brush, and I'm just painting this paint on like you would normally paint with the grain. I want to keep it going with the wood grain, getting it on there nice and smooth. Since it's a paint wash, it won't dry as quickly, so you'll have a little extra time to work with it. You just want to cover the entire piece as evenly as possible, including the edges. I always try to do the edges at the same time, so when I wipe it off, it's all uniform and turns out even. So I'm going to apply all that together, and as soon as I'm done applying the paint, I get out my t-shirt rag, and this is where I just wipe it back, really just wiping off the excess. And I did this immediately. I don't want to let it start drying at all. Just immediately wipe smooth. And now here's what it looks like after I got that wiped back. It left me with this beautiful walnut stain, and I loved it so much. I only did one coat because this is exactly how I wanted it to look. Once it dries, you can add a top coat of your choice. I used a black wax on this piece, and now it has a beautiful satin sheen, and you just can't resist touching it. And here's that corner with the damaged spot. It's all blended in nicely. Let me know what you think of this method and if you like how it turned out. And please leave your questions in the comments.